Hi, my name is Joshua Adigun. Welcome to my YouTube channel once again. I am a Microsoft certified trainer. Today, I'll show you how to change your SharePoint online domain name. But before I do that, subscribe to my YouTube channel, AJ Tech House. Like my video, share it with your friends and colleagues. Turn on the notification button so that you can be notified of every new video I drop. How to change your SharePoint online domain name. Changing your SharePoint domain name or your OneDrive domain name, or you are renaming your tenant. This actually happens when an organization is changing from one name to another. Let's say my organization is changing from the name Joshua to Adigun. So before now, my SharePoint URL and then my OneDrive URL would contain Joshua. Now I have changed to Adigun, right? So it needs to contain Adigun, the SharePoint and OneDrive URL. Hence the reason why you need to change your SharePoint name and your OneDrive name, or you rename your tenant. I showed you an earlier video how to connect to SharePoint Online Management Shell. We'll go through those steps again because you also need to connect to the SharePoint Online Management Shell for you to be able to do this. So next slide, I'll just run through the steps and then we'll see practical steps on how to also do that. Also share Microsoft 365 document, prerequisites you need to meet and all that. Microsoft 365, SPO, SharePoint and ODFB, OneDrive for Business Domain Name Implementation Strategy. First, sign into your SharePoint Online Admin Center so that you can get the URL like the one I have here. Next, you need to go through this documentation. There are some requirements we'll look at. Ensure that your new domain name is added. The Microsoft domain name is also added. Proceed to download the SharePoint Online Management Shell. We'll install it, we'll connect to it, and then I'll show you the commandlet to connect to your management shell and then to change your domain name. After which, you would have to ensure that you resync your OneDrive and SharePoint with the latest version. All users after this domain name change need to have at least version 17.3.6943.0625, after which you can enjoy your OneDrive and your SharePoint. Without wasting much time, I'll show you the documentation first, how to change your SharePoint online domain name. So what do you need to know? It is important that the standard version is currently available to organizations that have not more than 10,000 total SharePoint sites and OneDrive accounts. If you have more than 10,000 of them, you would have to go to the next step, which is advanced tenant rename is available to organizations that also have less than 100,000 total sites available with SharePoint Advanced Management. If you have more than that, you would have to reach out to Microsoft, submit a support request to Microsoft. Also, we have some limitations. The hub site menu items, there are low impact limitations. Then we also have medium impact limitations where custom and third-party application of e-discovery affected. So you have the limitations, actions you need to carry out for all these limitations. Some have none, like OneDrive, only the domain name portion of the URL that is changed. Let me come here to SharePoint, only this part of the domain name that is changed. We also have high impact limitations where the alternative URLs are affected, the business productivity online suites are also affected. Prerequisites for advanced tenant rename. So if you want to rename an organization with over 10,000, for 10,000, you could do it yourself. However, if you want to do over 10,000 and let's say less than 100,000, you have to use the advanced tenant rename. So if you want to do that, there are prerequisites you also need to follow. But the first step, remember, is to add the domain name. And in my video, I also showed you how to add a domain name to your Microsoft 365 tenant. If you don't know how to, please watch my video on how to add a domain name to Microsoft 365. After which, the next step is to add the .onmicrosoft.com domain to your Microsoft 365. I also made a video on how to do that. You can refer to that video to see steps on how to. And then the third step is to connect to change your SharePoint domain name using PowerShell. I also made a video on how to connect to SharePoint Online PowerShell. You can also refer to that video on how to connect. So in that video, I showed you how to download, where you need to download the management shell from, and then how to connect to install the module. I need to check the version of the management shell I have. I use the get module, and then after which I check that my OS is running PowerShell 5. So I need to install the PowerShell module. After installing, I can also check for other available modules that were not installed with the install command. The update module. So the next one is to connect. Remember, I told you there are two ways to connect to the SharePoint management shell. If you are using just the basic authentication using your username and password, or if you have multi-factor authentication turned on, you would have to use the second one here. Remember, I told you the difference between both is that the username and password has the credential parameter, and then for the multi-factor or MFA does not have the credential parameter. The next step, you then run a PowerShell script to change the name, the domain name, and then you use the get SPO tenant to check the status of the move, and then ensure that all your users use version 17.3 and above to resync your OneDrive and SharePoint, and afterwards you enjoy using your SharePoint and OneDrive. So let's quickly do this. I go to start, I type SharePoint, I run as administrator to SharePoint, and then I'm connected. The next command line is this command line to rename, which is this. Copy this pad here. I have start SPO tenant rename. This is the command. I add my domain name, which is Joshua, and then the scheduled time. So you need to do this 24 hours ahead of the time you're doing that. This is the command line here. Schedule date time is at least 24 hours in the future. Hence the reason why I have 24 hours, which is tomorrow 6th at 1 p.m. That's 1300. This is the command. So the next command is to check the status of the move. That is, by tomorrow at 1 p.m. I need to check if it has been completed or not. So I'll use this command. I need to paste it here. This would give me the status of everything. I have some screenshots. I'll show you what it shows, and then when you perform the tenant rename also. Thank you very much. Subscribe to my channel, like my video, turn on your notification button, hit the comment section, and tell me whatsoever video you want me to make for you. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.